Okay, so we're going to continue right now with the story that we started yesterday. Yesterday, the story started off with Shimon Ben Shetach, and we're going to continue where we left off about the witches. Shimon Ben Shetach says, let's have a party. And all his students that are pretending to be wizards all go to the witches, and they go and they sit down by the table, and they go and they say, let's have a party, yeah. And then, all of a sudden, Shimon Ben Shetach gives the signal. I'm not sure if he claps his hands or he snaps his fingers, but he gives a signal, and all of a sudden, all the Talmidei Chachamim that are making believe that they're wizards, they pick up the witches, all the witches, and they lift them off the ground. And they had to be really strong to do this, because then they had to carry them all the way down the hill. And they carried the witches all the way down the hill, and the witches were screaming and yelling, and they were so upset, and they were so mad. And Shimon Ben Shetach brought them to the court, and he made sure that they didn't touch the ground. And he did a court case for each and every one of the 80 witches. And he told them, we warned you not to go and do witchcraft, and you did witchcraft anyway. We warned you once, we warned you twice, we warned you 3 times. And the halacha is we only kill somebody in Torah, God forbid never should have been needed, but if it happens, only after a warning. But they had a warning, and they did it anyway. And there was witnesses that saw them do it. So Shimon Ben Shetach says, the court is now going to sentence them to death, which was very sad, but it was what needed to happen. And so they were taken each one at a time, and they were killed. Here's the part of the story that people don't always know. After Shimon Ben Shetach had the trial happen, and after they were killed, something else happens. You see, the wives, or these ladies, these witches, they were wives and they were mothers, some of them were girls. They were related to Jewish people. They were themselves Jewish. They were not Goyim, they were Jewish people. And they were related to other Jewish people. And their relatives were very, very upset. And they said, Shimon Ben Shetach killed our sister or our mother or whatever the relative was, or our cousin. And they were so upset about this that they said, I think we want to get revenge. So they said, how can we get revenge? Can we kill Shimon Ben Shetach? No, he's got too many people watching him. Maybe we could get somebody else that's related to him killed. And they were thinking. He said, he has a son. And his son is an adult. Maybe his adult son we could get rid of. They said, what should we do? And so they went and they said, and they came to the court and they said to the court, we saw him do this and this Aveira. And according to the Torah, certain Aveirot, a person needs to get killed for. And this was one of them. Now, to kill a person in court is extremely hard. And Shimon Ben Shetach did not want to do it, but he had to do it with the witches. But here in the case of his sons, the court was not very careful. And these witnesses, these people that said, we saw Shimon Ben Shetach's son do this Aveira, were not telling the truth. And the court did not spend time double and triple checking to make sure that these witnesses were not lying. Because that's exactly what they were doing. They were absolutely lying. And so they said to the court, we saw him do this and we warned him and he didn't listen to us and he broke this Aveira and he needs to be killed. Oh, yeah. And the court and the judges in the court did not make sure to do their job properly, unfortunately. They didn't question the witnesses properly, and they sentenced his son to death. And Shimon Ben Shetach's I don't know if it was his only son, but his son was killed in court. And it was very, very, very sad. And Shimon Ben Shetach was so sad about this that he said, in Pirkei Avot, in Mishnah 8 or 9 of the first chapter, be very careful not to speak a lie, or not even to say a little lie, because people will take the words that a person could have and they'll say, oh, if he could lie, I could lie. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And when Shimon Ben Shetach said, unfortunately, they lied, and my son ended up getting killed as a result of it. You need to make sure that you're careful with your words and that you don't lie. And on top of this, he said, I also want you to be very careful to double and triple and quadruple check that witnesses, people that say they saw something happen, that they are not lying. God forbid. Because the court needs to be super careful if they, God forbid, choose to kill somebody. And this is a very, very interesting story, and it's a story that took place during the times of the second Bet HaMikdash. But now that it's the 3 weeks, I want to go on to the next part of our story. And the next two people I want to talk about, we've spoken about before, and I want to speak very briefly about them. Their names are Shmaya and Avtalion, and they lived during the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash as well. I'm sorry, I take that back. They lived only in the middle of the Bet HaMikdash, meaning during this second Bet HaMikdash. But their great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, his name was Nebuchadnezzar. He was the king of Bavel. He was the Babylonian king. And he actually destroyed the first Bet HaMikdash on Tisha B'Av. That's why they're going to have a fast on Thursday next week. And this King Nebuchadnezzar, his great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren were two brothers, Shemaiah and Avtalion. And they saw what Torah was, and they saw what it means to serve Hashem and to be a Jew. And they said, we want to join this. And they did join. Not only did they join, they became Jewish. They went to mikvah and they converted. And not only did they, become a Jew, they actually became great Torah scholars. So great that they became the leaders of their generation. And as a result of them becoming the leaders of their generation, they were actually written in the Mishnah as the two people that were in charge of the Jewish people after Shimon Ben Shetach. So you have Shimon Ben Shetach, and then you have Shmaya and Avtalion. Anyway, this is the story that I wanted to let you know about today. Tomorrow we could talk more about it, but what we could see over here in this last part is how Shmaya and Avtalion, even though they were not born Jewish, they saw the value in Torah and mitzvot. How much more so we should look into the value of what we have in front of us. And on top of that, we have to remember to be very careful with our words, especially during the 9 days, to be extremely careful to speak truth, not tell. Even small lies are not good. Being truthful is important. Very, very, very important. Everybody have a good night and all the best.